Takadosh Boker Or Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Amud Aleph 70a1 says the Gemara Amri Nahardai. Nahardai said, Lo Katvinan Urketa a metaltele. We're not going to write a harsha'a for metaltele. Okay, so Urketa is a harsha'a, which is basically a yipui koach. It's like a power of attorney in order for you to collect money. Okay. So usually you have to write this power of attorney. Either you're able to actually do this. So you come and he says, so they don't write this on metalteli. Amar Ravashi says, Le'ameimar, my tama, what's the reasoning? Elmaleh, he says, Mishum Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, Gazal v'lo nitiyashu balim, shnehem enem yochulim lagdish. Because Rabbi Yochanan says, if right now somebody steals and the balim were not nitiyash, so therefore nobody could do ekdesh, not the ganav, and not the gazlan and not the owner. The gazlan, why not? And why? It doesn't belong to him yet. There was no yush. And the owners, it's not in his possession. There's another version now. The other version says, Amli Nardai says, Lo katvinan urketa metaltele de kafre. We're not going to write on a harsha, power of attorney, on a tviyah metaltelin, which the nitba was kafar b'hem. Kafar b'hem means he rejected and he says, no, it doesn't exist, what you just said. So again, one more time. According to the shita, right, it's not anymore, right, that you're not allowed to do it on metaltelin in general. It's only on metaltelin which the nitba, the defendant, rejected. And he said, it's not true. That's the one that you do not write a Tamai de kafre. The reason why is they mix a kashikra, because then what happens is the harsha'a looks like sheker, because it's ki'ilu, it looks that the tovea was makneh something that he has nothing to do with it. Meaning like this: imagine I come and I tell John Paul, I'm giving you the power of attorney to come and to take the money away from somebody else, right? Now it was something tangible. It was like a car. It was a metaltali. How can I write a harsha'a giving him the rights if the guy said that it never existed, meaning it was never mine? So for how am I writing something to him that looks like sheker? I'm writing to him rights. Remember, the power of attorney means I'm giving him over rights that I had. Now, how do I give him over rights that we don't have? The reason why we don't have is because you said it never existed. What are you talking about? He was kafar b'hem, right? He says, no. What are you talking about? So that's what you're not allowed to write it. Avalo kafre, but let's say nobody rejected. So then, yes. Why? Because then I have the rights to write it to you. You take it, and now you come and you take the guy to Betin. V'amni Nardai, says Nardai, urketa de lo ketiv be'ef, in the urketa, the shtar shah, it's not written, zil dun uzchi ve'apik lenafshech, go judge in it, right? And be zoche badin, and take out the money to yourself. Yeah? Let be meshasha, there's no mamashut. My tama, what's reasoning? Which means that basically it's written ki'ilu, that you keep the money. Meaning when I give you the power of attorney, it means that you keep it. So he says, what's the reasoning? Mishum damar lehach, but the other one could say, lav bal dvarim didiyat. You have nothing to do with me. So since you don't have nothing to do with me, so therefore it doesn't work. So Amar Abaye comes and he says, but if it's written, lemechza leshalil shul rabia, which means to half, a third, or to a quarter, migu dinishta dina palga, since he could actually be Ma'amid Badin on the half, third, or a quarter, Nishta Dina Kula, so then you could do it on everything. Which means you have a migu. You know what a migu is? Since you could come and you could already claim a half or a third or a quarter, so then you could come and you could actually collect everything. You could actually go and start asking for the entire amount. So Amar Ameimar comes and he says, Itafas lo mafkinu mineh. If he grabbed the money for himself, we don't take it out from him. Right? Why? Because Kilu, since he had the power of attorney and he took for himself, that's it. It's his. Yeah? Ravashi says, Kevan de Katvele, since he wrote, Kol de mitane mindina kabelitalai, all the hotzaot that you're going to take out, right? You're going to, I accepted upon myself to pay it. Shaliach shavye. He made him into a shaliach. The Ika de Aman, and some people say shutfa shavye. He made him into a shutaf, not into a shaliach, but rather into a shutaf. Lemay nafkamina, what's a nafkamina? Lemit paspalga, to grab half. Right? That's what he says here, to grab half. The hilchatan, what is halacha? shliach shavya. Right? The halacha is that he does it into a shliach, and therefore you can't grab anything. You can't grab anything. Okay? Fine. Mishnah on Ayin Amud Aleph. So that was the halacha. He made him to a shliach, and therefore you cannot grab anything. Okay, ganav al pi shnayim. Are you listening? Yeah, ganav al pi shnayim. He comes and he steals, and there were two witnesses that come and say that he stole. And he also slaughtered and sold it in front of them as well. Or in front of another two witnesses. Doesn't matter who the two. He has to pay Bava Kamma. Okay? Ganavu machal b'Shabbat. What if he stole and he sold it on Shabbat? Or ganavu machal l'avodah zarah. Or he stole it and he sold it to avodah zarah. Or ganav or he sold it and he stole it and he slaughtered it on Yom Kippur. Ganav mishel aviv, right? Or he stole from his father v'tavachu machal v'achagav met aviv, and then he slaughtered and sold it. And then afterwards the father died. Ganav v'tavach, or he stole it and slaughtered it, and then afterwards, right? He was magdish. In all these cases, he pays arba'a v'chamisha. Because he says over here that he doesn't get killed on Shabbat. That's why he's still obligated it. Because basically he didn't, meaning stealing is not chayav mita on Shabbat. It's not a melacha. And the same thing with selling. Buying and selling is not the doraita that you're mechalel Shabbat. So that's why. But if you were tavach, then yes. The same thing if you were ganav and then you sold it to avodah zarah. Because again, on this selling it to avodah zarah, you're not being over in the doraita of getting death penalty. Right? Now, ganav v'tavach b'yom kippurim is the same thing. There's no mitzvah betin, it's only karet. Basically, in all these cases, the common denominator was you don't get killed. So since you don't get killed from a bedin, that's why you have to pay tashlumei arba'a v'chamisha. You understand? It makes sense, right?
I didn't see the connection between the...
No, that's why all these cases, yeah. That's why, because usually it would be patur because you're getting killed. Here, there's no killing. Nobody's getting killed. Next, ganav v'tavach l'refuah o leklavim. Imagine somebody stole and he slaughtered it for refuah, or to give it to the dogs. Hashochet v'nimtza trefa, or he did shechita and he found out trefa. Shochet chulim bazara. Here he's also going to pay tashlumei arba'a v'chamisha. That means even though the shechita was not done for eating, but you're still chayav. Meaning, don't think that when it said that you're going to be chayav, the arba'a v'chamisha is only if tavach. Tavach, I thought, slaughters to eat. You didn't slaughter to eat. You slaughtered it for refuah. Or you started it to give to the dogs, or it became a trefa afterwards, meaning they did the shchita, trefa, a kaddish, you can't eat it. Doesn't matter. And or shochet chulim bazara. In all these cases, you still have to pay arba'a v'chamisha. Rabbi Shimon comes and he says, b'shne elu, which is basically if it was found a trefa or chulim bazara, you're going to be patur. Why? Because it is not permitted in achila. It has to be fitting for achila. Meaning the first two cases was, I did it for the fuah, right? The guy did it for the fuah, or he gave it to his dogs. But technically, he could have eaten it himself. But he decided to do that. Okay, but that's his problem. But it was fitting to eat. The last two cases, which was basically, it was found a trefa or chulim bazara, you can't eat it. So therefore, that's why you're going to be patur. According to Shitat, Rabbi Shimon. Says,
but the owner can use the animal to...
So says the Gemara, Lema Matnitin, why don't we just say that our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Akiva? The Rabbi Akiva, but if you're going to tell me it's Rabbi Akiva, Hamar, he said that it says davar velo chatzi davar. When it says davar, it has to be a full thing. Velo chatzi davar. What does that mean? I'm going to ask you a question. Two witnesses come and they say that he stole. And all of a sudden, another two witnesses come and they say that he slaughtered and sold it. Each group of the two witnesses, only saw half of the... No. One more time. You're not listening.
He stole.
Two witnesses come in and say that he stole.
Okay.
Later on, two witnesses come and said that which he stole. You guys just said that he stole. That which he stole, he slaughtered and sold it. They're not contradicting. They're mamshichim. Zaya Mishnah. Mishnah says, "Afilu ha'ani."
You're allowed to lie if you don't say the whole truth.
No. So here, though, Rabbi Akiva says that when you testify in court, you have to testify about a davar, about the full picture. You cannot testify about half. So the second witnesses and the first witnesses are half and half. Meaning, how much do I want to obligate him to pay? 4 and 5 times. I need both of them together to testify, but I can't. These are two witnesses testifying only on the stealing, and these are two witnesses testifying on the thing. So that's chatzi davar. Each one is testifying on chatzi, so it doesn't work.
Second Edim didn't saw they stealing in the
Wait, Rabbi, Rabbi, go.
Is the Tanya was learned to the Braita. Rabbi Yosef said to say, "Kishlach Abba Chalafta et Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri limot Torah." When Abba Chalafta went to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri to learn Torah, V'amni la, and some people say Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri went to Abba Chalafta. Ayin Amud 70b. Right? Amarlo, he told him, "Hareh she'achla shana rishona bifnei shnayim." Imagine right now you're talking about a chazakah, and the first year you were eating the fruits of the field in front of two witnesses. Shniya bifnei shnayim. The second year in front of another two witnesses. The shlishi bifnei shnayim. In the third year in front of another two witnesses. What's halacha? Amarlo, he told him, and it's a chazakah. It's a chazakah. Amarlo, he told him, Afani Omer, can I also say that? But Rabbi Akiva argues on this. Rabbi Akiva Omer davar v'lo chatzi davar, which means that according to Rabbi Akiva, the only testimony is only going to be if it's a one full testimony. And if it's not one full testimony, and I need different witnesses in order to come and to tell you this, so therefore what happens is, it's not going to be good. Because that's called chatzi davar. Basically, what they're trying to say is that the onus is not on one group of witnesses. It's like I'm dividing testimonies in order to make a lapse. You understand? Like I'm trying to put them together. 1 + 1 + 1. Now I have a case against you. No, these are the witnesses. You have everything, right? That's the case. Shita Rabbi Akiva. So Amar Abai says it's not true. He says, you know why? Afilu Tim Rabbi Akiva. Even Rabbi Akiva would say this. Mi lo moder Rabbi Akiva b'shtayim shomer kidesh u'shtayim omrim baal. Te'av agav te'edeh biyah tzrich edeh kiddushin. Given edeh kiddushin lo tzrich edeh biyah davar karin. He says 1 second. What happens in a case where you have two witnesses that came and he said somebody did kiddushin? Right? Two witnesses. Right? We saw kiddushin also on Sunday, and we saw newlyweds. Right? So are you listening?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So then he says, and then another two witnesses that they came and they said they had relations. So two witnesses on the relations and two witnesses on the kiddushin. Yeah? We were at the kiddushin. Yeah?
הם ראו רק את הריליישן ואלה ראו את הקידושים.
Yes.
אבל the relation came after the kiddushin?
Obviously. Yeah? Or that's the way it's supposed to be. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
אבל...
Okay, 1 second. 1 second. It says here, "Af al gav de'edeh biyah tzricha edeh kiddushin." The ones that saw the edeh biyah, they need the witnesses of the kiddushin. Because basically, they're going to say, he did the kiddushin, and he did the biyah. But the edeh kiddushin, they don't need the edeh biyah. Because even without the edeh biyah, she's still prohibited to the world, because there was kiddushin there. One more time, zoom out. I see that you guys are not, the doctors.
So isn't it a problem to be an head of the biyah?
Why is it a problem?
Are you allowed to watch people?
1 minute. You're getting very
פעם
technical.
היית בסדר הולך לראות איך הרב משמש.
Right? One second. Listen carefully. Yeah, one more time. One more time. Right? What happened was it's not that. That's incorrect, but it doesn't matter. But listen carefully. Right? Basically like this. You have two witnesses. No, he's referring to a Gemara Masechet Berachot. Nothing to do with it. 1 minute. Right? The concept is like this. When you have two witnesses that there was kiddushin, do they need anything else? They don't need anything else. Once these two witnesses come and they say, this person came and he took his wife and he gave her a ring, and he says, she's mikudeshet. Is she prohibited? She prohibited to the entire world? Yes. Come on, no, that's it. They don't need anything else. Okay, fine. When you have two witnesses come and they say, this couple went into the room and they locked the door and they were there for 20 minutes and whatever it is. Or even if you're going to go to the case of the Gemara, right, where the Gemara in Makot is talking about that you want to kill them, so they saw from far, but it looked like that they were on top of each other and kimichol b'shuferet, right, like the thing going, obviously they can't see it exactly, right, but keilu they were having tashmish. So, right, when they come and they say that testimony on themselves is nothing, because the biyah without kiddushin does not do anything. Maybe it was biyah znut. Maybe it was more relations. Some they were fooling around. It's only, but only after the kiddushin.
No, but he said
No, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about after, which means that once they have the kiddushin, the biyah becomes something. So they say in such a case, Rabbi Akiva admits that since in the first case the kiddushin do not need the biyah, even though the Edebia do need the Ede Kiddushin, it's not called Chatzi Davar. Chatzi Davar means that each one 100% is dependent upon the other. The Edim that he stole cannot obligate 4 and 5 unless you have the Edim that they slaughtered and sold. And the Edim that say that he slaughtered and sold cannot do nothing without the Edim that say that he stole.
I'm sorry, but it's
So
exactly
therefore,
the same thing as
it's
for
not
the,
exactly.
for the
So says the Gemara, the Ede Kiddushin don't need the Ede Biyah, because even without the Ede Biyah, he's already a good Kiddushin and they're going to be permitted to the entire world. But the Ede Biyah do need the Kiddushin, right? So he says, doesn't he say, Davar Karim Be? Hachanam is so to hear. Even though the Ede Tvicha need the Ede Geniva, Kevin the Ede Geniva, but the Ede Geniva don't need the Ede Tvicha. Right? Why? Because even without that, they're already obligating in Kefir. So Davar Karim Be. So it is called Geniva. And that's why I thought that our dear friend David was saying. Yeah? So he comes and he says like this. He says, "V'Rabbanan," and according to rabbis, "Hay davar velo chatzi davar." What does it mean, davar velo chatzi davar? What does that mean? He says, "Lemiut," it comes to exclude echad omer, echad begaba, ve'echad omer, echad bekresa. He says, no. He says, you know what it means, davar velo chatzi davar? What happens if you need 2 witnesses to say that a daughter is a gdolah, that a girl is already, she reached puberty, and therefore she has the halachot of a bat gdolah? One witness comes and he says, I saw a hair on her back. And one says, I saw it on her stomach. That's called chatzi davar. Why? Because it's not the same thing. So says the Gemara, what are you talking about? He says, I chatzi davar v'chatzi edutu. That's chatzi davar, and it's also chatzi edut. First of all, it's chatzi davar, right? That she's how do you call this? A daughter or not. And it's also chatzi edut because each one is one witness on one hair. So not only is it that you have 2 witnesses testifying on 2 different hairs, it's 1 witness on each hair. So it's chetzi edut and chetzi davar. What's going on exactly? Okay? So he says, right? He says there's only 1 witness that's testifying on every single hair. So it's going to be the chetzi edut. And he says it's also chetzi davar because the full davar is 2 hairs. So it's chetzi davar and chetzi edut. What's going on? Ela, but rather, lemiut is shnayim omrim, but this comes to exclude 2 people that say echad begaba v'shnayim omrim echad bekresa. 2 witnesses say that there's 1 hair on the stomach, and 2 witnesses saying one of them is on the back. So here you have the 2 witnesses. So it's not chatzi edut. It's edut shlema, but it's chatzi davar because each one is only testifying on 1 hair. You need 2 hairs. So 2 witnesses on 1 hair, 2 witnesses on another hair. It's not the same hair. It's on different parts of the body. So therefore, it's a full edut because there's 2 witnesses, but it's chetzi davar. Okay. So says the Gemara. Hani amri ktanahi, v'hani amri ktanahi. So each one is saying that she's a ktana then. The reason why is because each one doesn't have a full testimony, because each one is saying she's still a ktana. Fine, okay? 2 dots. Ganavu machar b'Shabbat. A person comes and he steals and he sells on Shabbat. Says the Gemara v'Tanya, we learned in a Braita you're going to be patur, right? So how could it be that you're going to be chayav arba v'tashlumim? Here it says you're going to be patur. Amar Rabbi Mechama, kitanya yidid patur. When we say you're going to be patur, be'omer lo hakotz te'ena mitenati v'tikni li k'nimutech. He says no. When you're going to pluck off a fig from my figs, right? And then you're going to acquire it with the geneva. Okay? So Amri, so they said, so since if you're going to be tovea this, in the dina lo amrinan lei, so we're not going to say, zil shalim, go pay it, you're going to be paying it binafsho. Ha-mechira nami lav mechira. It's not a mechira. It's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing then.
But it's a sort to
No, so that's why. When do we say you're going to be patur? Because since you're going to be chayav mita, so that's why you don't have to pay. So you're patur.
Okay.
That's why. Because you're chayav mita. Meaning that since it's chayav mita. Huh? Vadai. Lekita, loket b'Shabbat. You're doing isur doraita. Huh? Vadai. Shte edim, hatra ve'akol. It's isur doraita. Melaket. Yeah, what is kotzer? Kotzer is reaping. Melaket זה אותו דבר.
לא, מלקט זה...
Is reaping. That's what it is. איסור דורייתא. אב מלאכה. Okay? So he says, but it's not selling. So אלא אמר רב פאפא, but Rav Papa says, ואומר לו, זרוק גנימותך לחצרי, ותקני לי גנימותך. He says, no, basically like this. Okay, you said you're going to be patur, it makes sense. But the question is, I don't understand. If he's coming and telling him to go to Betin, so, but he told him to acquire it. So if he told him to acquire it, why does he have to go to Betin and tell him now, go pay him 4 and 5 times. That's a good trick, no? Doctor. You come in, meaning the question is like this. We just explained why you're going to be patur. Why you're going to be patur was Chilul Shabbat. But now, what was the case that he's going to even be trying to be chayav 4 and 5 times? The case of being chayav 4 and 5 times means that he stole something and then he sold it, right? What was the case? Here, the case was he told him, pluck it off my tree and you're going to acquire it. If I'm telling you to acquire it, you're selling something long. I told you to acquire it. It's yours. What do you want? So then now after I'm going to take you to Betin and tell you you should pay 4 and 5 times. What's going on? So says the Gemara, no, right? We're telling him go and pay it, right? We're telling him go and pay it only because he's going to be mitchayev benafsho. So kim lebrabmine, so he's going to be patur. But it comes out that the mechira is not a mechira, right? But that means even if he is going to go and he's going to sell it, it's not a good sale. There's nothing there. So the Rav Papa says no. He told him throw it into my property, right? And I'm going to pay you. And then which means the ganav comes and he throws the animal from the Reshut Rabbi into the Reshut Koneh, so that's why he's being mechalel Shabbat. And the ganav is now going to be chayav mita because of hotza'ah, and therefore he's going to be patur because of Bava Kamma Daf, but he did sell it. He sold it to me, right? Because I told him, throw it into my property, and I'm going to acquire it from you, and I'm going to pay you for it. So that means he sold it to me, but he's doing mechalel Shabbat at the same moment. So says the Gemara, come on, who does this go like? It's going like Rabbi Akiva. The Amar that he says kluta kimishum chadamya. That a chefetz, which is going to be kluta, which means that it's going to be in the airspace of the reshut, is like that it's placed down. The ikra banan, as if it's going to be the shita of the rabbanan. Kevin the matya lechatzer beto kana. The second it gets to the chatzer, he already acquires it. And to do a Shabbat, you're not going to be chayav until it gets to the land. Meaning like this, it's in mid-air. Once it's in mid-air, I acquire it. But you're not going to be mechalel Shabbat until it lands. So therefore, if it doesn't come at the same time, you don't say kim lev d'Rabbanan. One more time. What is kim lev d'Rabbanan? You give him the stricter punishment. That's only if it was done at the exact same moment. If it was done at separate moments, you actually have to do both. So here he would have to pay, plus he would be killed. So says the Gemara, be'omer lo tiknili, right? But one second, if he says that lo tiknili gvulotecha shetuach, so then it doesn't make sense. What happens if I say, okay, fine, but I'm only going to acquire it when it lands? So now it comes out that I acquire it when it lands, and when it lands, he's going to be chayav because of Chilul Shabbat, and he's going to be chayav because he sold it to me. It says at the exact same moment. Meaning he told him, I'm only going to acquire it when it lands. And therefore, by doing that, he doesn't acquire it when it's in midair. Rava comes and he says, Leolam, really be'emet, Rami bar Chama. We're talking about Rami bar Chama. Right? Ve'etnan asra Torah. And we're talking about now etnan zonah, the Torah comes and prohibits. Va'afilu ba, right? Alimo. Even if he's going to come and he's going to have relations with his mother, itavale kamam bedina. If the mother is going to ask it in the bedin, do we come and tell him, kum havla etnan, give the etnan zonah? Right? We do kim lev d'Rabbanan. Right? And then that's it. And then we kill him. We don't tell him, go give her the money. Right? If he had relations with his mother. Ela barather afal gav dechi katava la bedina, even though he was tovia bedin, lo amrin, we're not going to say zil havle. Given the chiyav le avi etnan, because when he gives it, it's already considered an etnan. Hachanam is so to the same thing. Afal gav dilyan tashumin, even though to do a tashumin, itava bedina kaman, if you would have asked for it, lo amrin, we're not going to say zil shalim, go pay for it. Right? Why? Afiluach is still given the kamaknin lebeachi, since you're acquiring it in such a fashion. Havya mechida, it's still considered a mechida, and it's still considered a matana. And therefore, we can actually explain the Braita, right? Just like Rami bar Chama came and he said, above, which means since he gave it to her as an etnan zonah, it's not just stama matana. So too, it's going to be to do with tashumin, the same thing. If she would ask for it, we're not going to tell the ganav zil shalim, go pay for it, right? Still, right? Since the ganav is going to be makneh the be'ema with the money of the te'anim, it is considered a mechida. And therefore, according to the deans of Kim Lev d'Rabbanan, he's only going to be patur midinei adam, but he's not going to be Tzedek Chovah midinei shamayim. So it comes out that the be'ema is actually given to the koneh be'tashlum because of the ganav that he was actually going to be chayav. With this, we finish at the 2 down.